What if I told you there's a way to naturally fight 6 common infections with something sitting quietly in your kitchen cabinet right now? And no, it's not some trendy supplement or overpriced superfood. It's a humble spice, cloves. But the real twist? You've probably been using it all wrong. What happens if a senior starts drinking clove tea? Not casually, but in a very specific way. What infections does it silently fight off? And how does it do that? And what are the dangers of using it the wrong way? Stay with me, because once you learn what's really going on inside your body with each sip of this tea, you'll never look at cloves the same again. Before we go any further, drop a comment and let me know. What city are you watching from right now? Now let's get into it. Imagine you're holding a warm cup of clove tea. The steam rises. You take a sip. It's spicy, a little sweet, earthy. What if I told you that at that very moment, in just a few seconds, something is already happening deep in your gut? Something that could help fend off infections you might not even know are brewing? And I'm not talking about vague benefits or empty health claims. I'm talking about studied, documented, and biologically explained effects. Real changes that start quietly, but build into something powerful. But here's the catch. The timing, the dose, and even how you prepare clove tea make all the difference. Do it the wrong way, and you might see no benefits at all. Or worse, trigger unexpected side effects. But done right, it becomes a silent defender. So let's start where the action begins. Your mouth. When you drink clove tea, the first thing it touches is your oral microbiome, that little ecosystem of bacteria that lives right in your mouth, where many infections begin. Cloves are rich in a compound called eugenol, and if you've never heard of it, you'll want to remember the name. Eugenol has natural antiseptic and anti-inflammatory properties. In lab studies, it has been shown to inhibit the growth of certain bacteria and fungi, including Candida albicans, one of the most stubborn and common fungal infections, especially in older adults with weakened immune systems or those who wear dentures. Yes, that white-coated tongue, that weird taste in the morning, sometimes that's Candida. Clove tea, properly brewed and swished slowly before swallowing, doesn't just help soothe, it actively fights. But that's just the beginning. Now imagine this same cup of tea making its way down your throat. Another battlefield. For many seniors, recurring throat infections, chronic irritation, post-nasal drip, low-grade strep are a frustrating part of aging. But again, clove steps in. Eugenol has been shown to act as a mild local anesthetic, numbing pain and reducing inflammation. And unlike sugar-filled cough drops or chemical sprays, it does this naturally. When consumed warm, the steam alone can help open nasal passages, while the tea itself calms the throat lining and supports the immune response. There are even early studies suggesting it may help slow the replication of certain viruses, including influenza, though we'll tread carefully here. We're not calling it a cure, but the support it offers your body in responding is undeniable. Next, the tea hits the stomach, and this is where many people go wrong. Clove is powerful. Too much, taken at the wrong time, can irritate the stomach lining, especially in people with ulcers or gastritis. But taken after a meal, a warm, diluted cup with a little honey if needed for taste, it can aid digestion, reduce bloating, and even calm nausea. For those struggling with gut infections, clove tea has shown promise in helping to inhibit H. pylori, the bacteria linked to ulcers and even gastric cancer. That's not a small thing, and yet almost no one talks about it. Here's a question. How many times have you taken antacids, or struggled with bloating, or been told you just need more fiber? But what if your issue wasn't about bulk at all, but about imbalance, about small bacteria overgrowths that most tests miss, that keep coming back because your gut defense is weak? Clove tea, with its antimicrobial strength, helps restore balance. It's not a silver bullet, but it's part of a larger picture. And when combined with other gentle gut supporters like ginger or fennel, its effect is even better. And now we arrive at the part almost no one expects, the bloodstream. Because the real magic of clove doesn't stop in the stomach. Once absorbed, eugenol circulates in your blood, and this is where things get really interesting. Multiple studies have shown that eugenol has both anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects throughout the body. Think about that. As we age, chronic low-grade inflammation becomes the silent trigger behind most diseases, from heart disease to diabetes to cognitive decline. But inflammation also plays a role in another common issue: urinary tract infections. For older adults, especially women, UTIs can become frustratingly common, and they often start without symptoms until they become severe. Here, again, clove's antimicrobial action makes a difference. It's been studied for its potential in helping prevent bacterial adhesion in the urinary tract. What does that mean? It makes it harder for bacteria to stick and multiply. It's not a cure, it's not a treatment, but it's a gentle daily support, a small line of defense that builds over time. So now let's count. That's oral infections, throat infections, gut infections, fungal overgrowth, possible viral support, and urinary tract support. That's 6, and we're not even finished. Because what happens if your immune system itself starts working better? What if by reducing the load, less inflammation, fewer low-grade infections, better gut balance, your body has more energy to defend itself in other ways? You might feel less fatigued. You might sleep better. You might notice your skin clearing, your breath fresher, even your mind a little sharper. That's not magic. That's the cascade effect of improved systemic health. One small daily ritual that shifts everything forward by 1%. Again and again. But here's something no one tells you. Not all clove tea is created equal, and most people mess it up. If you boil cloves too long, you lose the eugenol. If you grind them too fine, they oxidize too quickly. And if you drink it on an empty stomach, you risk irritation. So here's how to do it right. Take 3 to 5 whole cloves, not powder, and steep them in hot, not boiling water for 7 to 10 minutes. Cover the cup while it steeps to trap the essential oils. Then strain and sip slowly. Best time? About 20 minutes after your meal. Want extra benefits? Add a small slice of fresh ginger or a few fennel seeds. And if you like it sweeter, a teaspoon of raw honey, especially if your throat is dry or irritated. Not sugar, not stevia. Raw honey. It brings its own benefits and balances the strong flavor of clove. Now let's pause. Have you ever thought about how much money we spend trying to fix our health? Pills, creams, supplements, appointments, all chasing symptoms. But here we have something ancient, affordable, accessible, and it actually supports the root of the problem. Infections start when the body can't fight. Clove tea helps you fight, not by replacing your immune system, but by freeing it up to do its job. Still wondering if it's for you? Well, let me ask you, have you had more than 2 infections this year? Do you notice slow healing, frequent bloating, dry mouth, or recurring UTIs? Do you take antibiotics more than once a year? If so, your body might be quietly asking for help. And while cloves are no miracle, they're one of nature's most underestimated allies. And yet very few people use them correctly. Most think of them as a holiday spice, something you throw in a pie. But in traditional medicine, they were prized. For digestion, infection, even pain relief. Science is finally catching up, but the trick isn't to take more. It's to take better, smarter, at the right time, in the right way. We're just getting warmed up. And now we move deeper into what really happens inside your body when this tiny spice, just a flower bud, really, becomes part of your daily routine. Because here's what most people don't realize. The most powerful changes aren't the ones you feel right away. They're the ones building quietly, beneath the surface, while you go about your day. Let's talk about one of the most overlooked shifts, your liver. You see, the liver is the body's ultimate detox machine. It filters blood, breaks down toxins, processes medications, and helps manage hormones. But in most adults over 50, it's already overwhelmed. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because modern life doesn't make it easy. Add in medications, processed food, stress, and years of quiet inflammation, and suddenly the liver isn't operating at full capacity. That's when things go wrong. Hormones get imbalanced, fat builds up, energy drops. And here's where clove tea shows up again. Clove contains compounds that stimulate 2 powerful liver-supportive enzymes, glutathione S-transferase and cytochrome P450. These are big names, but their job is simple: to neutralize and remove toxins from the body. In one animal study, clove extract actually reversed markers of liver damage. Now, does that mean clove tea will detox your liver overnight? No. That would be irresponsible to claim, but it does mean that clove tea gently supports the body's natural cleansing pathways, day by day, sip by sip. Now think about how that builds up over time. A cleaner liver means more efficient fat metabolism, which means better cholesterol levels, which means a lower risk of cardiovascular problems. And speaking of the heart, did you know that cloves can actually help reduce platelet aggregation? That's a fancy way of saying it helps keep your blood from becoming too sticky. Why does that matter? Because sticky blood is a major factor in the development of clots, heart attacks, and strokes. But again, this doesn't mean drinking clove tea replaces your medication. Let's be clear. What it does mean is that clove tea, especially when combined with a healthier lifestyle, can be one more tool, one more helper that moves your body in the right direction. Like wind in the sails of a ship, it doesn't work alone, but it sure helps you get where you want to go faster. And let's not forget something that's deeply personal, especially as we age. Inflammation-related pain, aches in the joints, stiffness in the morning, that slow, creeping discomfort that makes daily life just a little bit harder. Cloves eugenol, again, the real star of the show, has been shown to inhibit QX2, the same inflammatory pathway targeted by over-the-counter pain relievers like ibuprofen. So when you're drinking clove tea, you're not just soothing infections, you're dialing down inflammation at the root. And if that sounds too good to be true, just know that in a 2021 clinical review published in Frontiers in Pharmacology, clove and its constituents were found to exhibit analgesic, antipyretic, and anti-inflammatory properties through multiple mechanisms, all backed by real evidence. Still with me? Good. Because now we come to something even more intriguing. Clove tea's effects on your brain. This is the part few people see coming. Brain fog, memory slips, that slightly slower reaction time. They all seem to creep in with age. But what if part of the problem isn't just getting older? What if it's oxidative stress and chronic inflammation affecting your neurons, the little messengers of your brain? Cloves are one of the richest sources of antioxidants in the entire spice world. In fact, on the ORAC scale, which measures antioxidant potency, cloves are off the charts. What this means is that drinking clove tea regularly floods your system with molecules that fight off free radicals. And when those radicals are neutralized, brain cells can function more smoothly. That translates into clearer thinking, better memory, and possibly even long-term protection. And let me ask you, have you noticed more seniors being diagnosed with cognitive decline earlier and earlier? You're not imagining it. Lifestyle factors, inflammation, poor gut health, they all play a role. And we're not saying clove tea is the cure, but it's a simple, safe, scientifically backed step in the right direction. But here's the twist. What if the most powerful effect of clove tea has nothing to do with what it kills, and everything to do with what it balances? Let's go back to the gut for a second, because your gut isn't just about digestion. It's a command center. It talks to your brain. It influences your mood. It trains your immune system. And cloves, in moderate doses, have been shown to support healthy gut flora while selectively targeting harmful microbes. That's a game changer, because most antibiotics, even the necessary ones, wipe out good and bad bacteria alike. Cloves, they're smarter than that. They help restore balance, and a balanced gut means better digestion, fewer infections, and a stronger, calmer immune response. So what do you get when you combine all of this? You get a tea that helps prevent 6 of the most common infections seniors face: oral infections, throat infections, gut bacterial overgrowth, fungal issues like candida, urinary tract infections, and even low-grade respiratory pathogens. You get a tea that supports your liver, your heart, your brain, and your immune system. And you get all of that with no side effects, no prescriptions, and no complex routines. Just a few cloves, steeped in hot water. But, and this is important, you have to make it part of your rhythm. 1 cup doesn't change your life, but a cup every day, taken with purpose, that's where the transformation begins. Just like brushing your teeth doesn't matter once, but over time it keeps your whole mouth healthy. Clove tea works the same way. It's a ritual, a defense, a quiet act of self-care that adds up, and yet most people will never know. Most will keep walking past the spice rack, never realizing the power tucked into that tiny glass jar. But not you. You know better now. So let me ask you something. If one small change could reduce your chances of dealing with 6 different types of infection, wouldn't it be worth it? Because here's the thing. Most people wait until something goes wrong before they act. But what if you could prevent it from happening in the first place? What if sipping clove tea daily became the small, consistent choice that keeps you out of the doctor's office, away from antibiotics, and feeling more like yourself, strong, clear-minded, energized, instead of constantly fighting fatigue, irritation, or low-grade infections you didn't even realize were draining your system? Let me tell you a story. A woman named Helen, 74, started drinking clove tea after a neighbor mentioned it during a morning walk. She'd been struggling with UTIs for years. Nothing dangerous, but always inconvenient. Always that burning sensation. Always another antibiotic. She tried cranberry pills, adjusted her hygiene habits, even stopped drinking coffee, but the infections kept coming. Then she tried clove tea, 1 cup every evening after dinner. That was it. She didn't expect much, but weeks passed, then months. No flare-ups, no prescriptions. Her doctor noticed the difference before she even brought it up. Her urine samples were finally clear. Coincidence? Maybe. But when something works, and there's science to back it up, and it's safe, and it costs almost nothing, isn't it worth a closer look? Let's take this even further. Because what if clove tea isn't just protecting you from infections? What if it's preparing your body to respond more calmly to other threats? We're talking about immune resilience, the ability to bounce back, to heal faster, to handle minor viruses without spiraling into days of bed rest. And yes, this is real. In studies, clove extract has been shown to modulate immune function, not overstimulate it, but support it intelligently. That's important, especially for older adults, where the immune system can become either too slow to respond or too aggressive, triggering autoimmune issues. Drinking clove tea is like having a coach on your immune team, one that whispers, not shouts. It helps the system run smoothly, coordinates the players, reduces the noise, and that can mean fewer days lost to illness, fewer complications, fewer trips to the pharmacy. Still wondering how something so small can do so much? Here's another angle to consider: your hormones. As we age, hormone levels naturally shift. For women, menopause brings major changes. For men, testosterone declines, and these shifts can increase inflammation, reduce energy, impair sleep, and weaken immune responses. But here's where it gets really interesting. Eugenol, the key compound in cloves, has been studied for its estrogen-modulating effects. It doesn't act like a hormone, but it can influence how hormones are metabolized in the liver. That matters, because when your liver is backed up, hormone waste can build up, leading to mood swings, fatigue, and even increased cancer risk over time. So now, we're not just talking about fighting off infections. We're talking about regulating systems, keeping things moving, preventing stagnation, keeping your internal chemistry cleaner, sharper, and more efficient. Let's pause here, because it's a lot. I know. 1 tiny spice, 1 cup of tea, supporting digestion, calming inflammation, helping manage infection, assisting liver function, regulating hormones, protecting the brain. It sounds like a miracle, but it's not magic. It's biochemistry. It's the result of thousands of years of traditional use and decades of modern research. It's a tool, and like any tool, its power depends on how you use it. So here's how to use it the right way. Consistently. Start with whole cloves, not ground powder. Powder is fine in recipes, but for tea, it loses potency quickly. You want the oils intact. Use 3 to 5 whole cloves. Drop them into a cup of hot, but not boiling, water. Let it steep for 7 to 10 minutes, covered. This keeps the essential oils from evaporating. Strain and sip. Drink it slowly, ideally 20 to 30 minutes after a meal. This timing helps avoid any potential irritation to an empty stomach and supports digestion when your body is already working. You can drink it once a day, twice if you're managing an active issue like a cold or recovering from something, but stick to 1 to 2 cups daily for the long haul. And most importantly, stick with it. This isn't an overnight fix. This is slow medicine. cumulative health. You'll notice small things first, maybe better breath, less gas, a little more clarity in the afternoon. But give it time. A month in, 2 months in. That's when the bigger shifts happen. Now let me ask you something important. When was the last time your doctor talked to you about your baseline inflammation, or your oral biome, or the way your gut flora affects your mood, your immunity, and your ability to absorb nutrients? Chances are they haven't. Not because they don't care, but because the system doesn't support that kind of holistic, forward-thinking conversation. So we have to do it ourselves. We have to look at the small, sustainable, evidence-based things that tip the scales in our favor. And when you zoom out, Clove tea is exactly that. It's simple, affordable, safe, backed by evidence, rooted in history, and remarkably effective, not as a treatment, not as a replacement for medical care, but as a daily ritual that nudges your body toward resilience, clarity, and strength. And if you're thinking, this sounds amazing, but I'm not sure I'll remember to do it, let me offer this. Make it part of your evening wind down, right after dinner. As the kitchen closes, let it replace dessert, or that second glass of wine, or the nightly scroll through the phone. Make the ritual matter. Let the warmth of the cup signal your body that the day is ending. Let the scent remind you your health is worth protecting, not just when something goes wrong, but every single day. Because prevention isn't exciting. It's not urgent. It doesn't make headlines. But it's the difference between living in reaction and living in power. It's the quiet strength that builds when no one's watching. And just before we wrap up, here's a question. What if you shared this? What if someone you love, a parent, a neighbor, a friend, has been struggling silently with recurring infections, low energy, or constant bloating, and all they needed was a small nudge in the right direction? One shared video, one shared idea. That's the ripple effect. So yes, drink your clove tea. But don't keep it to yourself, because the best medicine is the one that's shared. And now that you know, don't stop here. There's another video on the screen right now that dives even deeper into how small daily habits can completely transform your energy, your immunity, and your brain health. Trust me, you're going to want to see this one next. Go ahead and tap it now.